hello. Oh, there we go.
Test.
Hey guys.
1, 2, 3.
So let's start off with introductions first and your roles in the film.
Yes, hello. My name is Mike Brown. I am the co-director and writer, as well as composer.
And actor in the movie.
Yeah, that's it.
Don't forget about that.
I'm humble, guys. That's what
I'm Akira Talaba. I co-directed, co-wrote, co-scored, and I was the cinematographer and editor.
And I'm Casper Skolnick, and I played Andy in the film.
Let's give it up for Casper one more time, everybody. What a lad.
So as a reminder to our audience, we have microphones here and here. If you have questions for our filmmakers and our actor, at any time step up to those and I will call you out. But first of all, it's also really important that we delve into this. When you made this, all of you were still in high school, correct?
Correct. Yes. Casper's still currently in high school,
Yeah.
So this film has so many nods to classic films and genres. I watched a lot of movies in high school, and I felt like I had a good idea, but it took me years to delve into the nuances of classic French art house cinema and film noir and spaghetti western and horror, and you have nods to all of those genres in this film, little sequences that are throwbacks that are almost like you would have to have a master's degree in cinema studies to fully grasp. All Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is in there. 2001: A Space Odyssey is in there. Have you just spent your entire childhoods just watching movies? Like, how do you know all that at your age?
So much free time, dude. Way too much free time.
Yeah, I think we kind of did spend our entire childhood watching movies and making movies. I mean, we've been doing this forever. I mean, I was probably like 8 when I started, and I know me and Michael made a short film when we were like 10. So we've just been into this for quite a while, and I think are maybe a little bit obsessive about it in some senses with just watching a lot of films. And so we really did want to try and bring as many sort of different things into this project as possible, because it is very much like, it's fairly like scattered, like we're bringing a lot of different little ideas together into a larger thing. So
it's almost like you took a film class and combined it into a linear story, and taking different directors. There's homages to Wes Anderson in there. There's aspects that are very David Lynch as well. And I'm sure there's parts I'm missing too that I go back and watch again like, oh, that's a nod to so-and-so. I just find that incredibly impressive that you're able to take it's an ambitious project in general, but to do that at the high school level is incredible. So congratulations to everyone that was a part of this project. So at what point did you decide, you know what, let's just go ahead and screw it, let's make an entire feature film? How did that concept come together, and how did you recruit everyone involved? Because this was shot at around Eugene, but South Eugene High School, my alma mater as well, many years before you attended. But and it's always had a great drama program and a great arts program at that high school. But was it instructors there that helped guide it? And how did you get all the permissions to be able to film in school and get all the students involved? How did all that come together?
Yeah, so I will not lie. We did get many permissions. There was many permissions that we kind of took upon ourselves. But yeah, I mean, the whole process really started with Akira, pretty much at the start of high school, had moved to Vancouver for about 2 years, and so by the time that he came back, we met up and kind of meeting up both with this knowledge that we both were really into film, and that was kind of how we bonded when we were younger, making little parody music videos and whatnot. So yeah, we pretty much both knew that we wanted to make some type of film, and it originally started with a short film idea, and then eventually it kind of just led to the whole feature, and I sent him a text with the title, "The Boy That Never Tangoed," which is grammatically incorrect, but yeah, and then from there we wrote the script. We started out with little note cards, and then we took it upon ourselves to say, okay, well, what would be the most accessible thing that we could make a movie on? And we happened to be in high school, so bada boom. So yeah, the drama teacher, Monty, at South currently, we went straight to him, curious about if he knew anybody that could fill this role. So yeah, he ended up saying, I know this kid, skinny white boy, perfect. And yeah, it ended up being Casper. So we got in touch with him, and then from there, majority of the people, the kids in the movie, are friends of ours. The homies, those are all my real homies, really just playing themselves, right? But yeah, we're not robbing people, by the way. We're yeah. But yeah, and then from there it was all kind of mutual friends. Yeah.
So from the idea of saying, let's do a feature film, to say, let's do a feature film that incorporates every film genre imaginable, who decided to take on that daunting task? And at what point did you, at any point in the production, did you realize maybe we should have done something a little simpler? Because like there's animation, there's stop motion, there's abstract, there's dream sequences, there's 60s psychedelica, there's art classic film noir. Like this is like every film genre thrown into a big bowl.
Yeah, what you just said is pretty much what I say to Michael all the time. Why did we do this to ourselves? Why did we try to do so many things? So I'll give him most of the blame. But it was, I mean, I don't know. I think it worked out. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think a big thing too was like we wanted to, we were like, okay, we're gonna make a high school movie, and the, you know, like rough independent high school film has been done so many times, I think. So we really took that as the base, and then we were like, how can we then screw that whole thing up? And just like completely by the second half of the movie, you're like, oh, where's this gonna go, you know? And I think also with that was kind of having this being our debut feature film, we wanted to incorporate all our skill sets between music and our film knowledge, and yeah, just kind of doing the most ambitious thing we possibly could to, even if it's really confusing at times, to show all these skill sets that we have and these interests that we have, yeah.
So we have a question over here.
You guys are hilarious. Is this on? Yeah, so I wanted to get to the music because in addition to watching all these amazing things happen from a film perspective, you're brilliant musicians. And I wanted to know a little bit about what your influences were and how that all came about, because you scored an incredible film.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, pretty much, you know, me and Akira have also been around music our whole lives. And I think, you know, it was one of those things really where you just truly, I mean, it was kind of the whole experience, but you just truly don't know that you're capable of doing it until you just try it. So, yeah, and once again, what comes with watching a lot of movies is the scores and the, yeah, and so I think with that whole thing, my dad, he's been a musician his whole life as well. He has a studio, little home studio that we pretty much did 85% of the whole score, and it was really like the whole movie in itself. Pretty much for a month straight, every day, every other day, we'd be in the studio scoring the movie, and yeah, I mean influences.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We have another question over here as well.
So I found part of the brilliance of the movie to be in transitions, from moving from, reality to dream, from sober to tripping, moving from kind of metaphorical things to mundane. And it was done in so many different ways, with music, with movement, with montages a couple of times, with visual effects. And as an English teacher myself, one of the questions I have two questions. One is, I wonder if, since you were in school, besides getting some drama credit for this, which I'm sure you did, I'm hoping that you also got some English.
Absolutely zero.
No extra credit at all for doing this massive project?
Matter of fact, we're at the last stretch, and Akira is just in this editing room, slaving. We're like approaching this big premiere that we're about to have, and he was in a film class, and there was a short film project, and he asked if he could submit a part of this because he's also simultaneously, making a movie, and the teacher did not let him.
That's
I mean, like, come on, dude.
Yeah,
but yes, continue.
Because I also felt like you should get some English credit for that as well. I mean, the thematic and the symbolic and the metaphorical and all the transitional stuff, that should have gotten both dramatic and English credit, if you ask me.
Thank you.
And then the second thing kind of has to do with content in there. There are not a lot of places. I really noticed this at the beginning when the kid was going into stand-up. There are not a lot of places where there's room for young people to hone a craft such as music or stand-up or even film, because most of those kind of things are not for minors. You have to sneak in if you're going to learn stand-up comedy, for example. And I don't know what you guys' adult ideas are, but I would love to see some sort of business write-up for how do we have a place for young people to do the things you do, because some adults don't really know what you're capable of because we don't have spaces for that. So I really encourage you to look into some ideas for making some spaces for that, either promoting it yourselves because you've done it, or actually making that space. So.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's an amazing idea. And I think that I would love more than anything for more people, more young people to get into this, because we're definitely in we were in a pretty privileged position to be able to do this and have access to equipment and all these different locations. And so, yeah, I would definitely like to encourage more young people to get out there and try it.
Yeah, and that's also, definitely why we embarked on this whole journey in the first place, was like showing young people that, like, you can do it regardless of the situation that you're in. I mean, a quarter of this movie was filmed on an iPhone. I don't know if you guys noticed, but even at that, it's like, you can literally just take out your phone and shoot a little movie, and have that be a thing. And again, with all the nods to film and whatnot, I think also showing, like, if you just watch a lot of movies or listen to a lot of music, then kind of the puzzle pieces kind of fall into place. Yeah, and definitely, like, with stuff like hosting our own premiere and having all these young kids be involved in this thing, in a sense trying to create a space for people to talk about things like this, and have a space for people to talk about you know, I've been wanting to do an album, or I've been wanting to shoot music videos, but I haven't really gotten the courage to. There's not really a lot of pressure being applied, and having this then be a thing that people can look at and be like, oh shoot, you know, you can do it. People enjoy it. Yeah.
Wonderful. I see we have another question over here, but bear with me just one minute because I want to touch base with Casper as well. Terrific performance. Had you ever appeared in film before? I assume you'd done some theater in middle school and high school, but was that difficult to transition from, because there is such a contrast in acting, from acting to an audience where, like, if you were on stage trying to project to the back row and you're trying to act surprised, you'd have to really go over the top. When there's a camera right here, you have to be a lot more subtle. So it's a totally different style of acting on camera versus acting in theater. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, I've been performing live and doing theater since I was like 6 in different community and children and school theaters. This was the first time I ever did something on film, and it was really a hard transition, but it was super fun to figure it out because I was super used to having to go so extra and so over the top and make sure everyone can hear me. And probably the biggest note I got from the directors the whole time was just like, tone it down, go a little lower, and also just then on top of that playing like an introvert who doesn't talk a lot. And I had to figure out, how do I like come through as this character when most of it's going to be in my face and in my like body language. And it was like such an interesting transition, but it taught me a lot, and it was certainly fun. I feel like you have to be a lot more real when it comes to doing film as opposed to like a dramatic performance on stage.
Yeah, and I also wanted to ask you, Casper, like, with this character being kind of such an... Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. It's just we had a question over here. So bear with just a moment, and as soon as he's done, we'll cut to you.
Just insert my question because I think it's... before you asked the question, I was going to ask about the acting technique because this is the first time I've seen what I assume to be inexperienced actors not overact. Every single person did their role perfectly, but nobody was pushing. It just seemed perfect to me. So you're talking about the very thing I was going to ask about. So.
Sorry then to steal your thunder. My apologies.
Well, yeah. Quick add. Once again, a lot of the kids in the movie. I really wrote kind of their characters around themselves and around kind of the best things that I saw in them, and the way that we all interact and hang out together, and really embodying that on camera. And even with the comedian Vinny Serenity, not necessarily the content that he's speaking about, but his character, that whole character was written over this kid that I thought he would look so cool on camera because he's so nonchalant. But then, in a sense, we ran into him not being an actor, and so he really struggled, and he ended up dipping out on the movie, and we got this new guy Alex, which is great. He embodies the character. And he's quite older as well. He has a lot more experience. But Casper, how did that feel for you? Kind of, I guess I don't know how much you relate to the character of Andy, but how did that feel for you, embodying this character that you might not relate too much with, as far as how he expresses himself, as well as did that add a lot of pressure for that last dialogue to land?
Yeah. Well, I feel like everyone can relate to Andy in certain ways, like feeling introverted or feeling like uncomfortable in a space. But, I mean, nobody can tell, but for the most part, I am a very outgoing and eccentric person, so it was hard to tone myself down. And the dialogue really was where it got rough. But it was really fun to figure out how to like play to a different personality. And like I practiced. I annoyed my mother and my siblings a lot because I would go out while they were shopping or doing whatever, and I just wouldn't speak. And I would be like dead-faced, and they'd be like, what are you doing? And I would be like, I'm not going to respond because Andy wouldn't respond.
Yeah. The method acting was cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just had to practice a little bit. And then I ran over that last dialogue so many times, and it changed so many times because we had refilmed it quite a bit. But I just really made sure I wasn't exaggerating, and I tried to feel those emotions, and I wanted to, like, if I was really Andy and I was on stage and I was just pouring my heart out to the audience, what would I sound like?
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's not supposed to be a prepared speech, so, like, I wanted to make it sound authentic and, like, right out of my mouth.
And that you did, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is also something, the fact that you have so many actors in this who are teens, and a film that is paying homage to so many different classic film genres that a lot of your actors probably have not seen. Did you have to give people like a watch list as a criteria to act? Like, okay, if you're going to be in this scene, you have to watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. If you're going to be in this scene, you have to watch classic French cinema. If you're going to be in this scene...
Yeah, I mean...
Or was it just a lot of, what are we even doing? I don't get this.
Well, no, we for sure gave this man Casper a watch list, which he did not
I didn't
touch.
watch a single one of those movies before we started.
A single one of the movies.
There was a lot of confusion on set, I will say. They liked to put, like, some mystery in it. I think it was fun for them, and they would tell me to do something, and I'd be like, okay, but... why am I doing this? And they'd be like, you'll see, you'll find out.
You'll find out
and
6 months. Yeah.
I didn't really honestly fully understand the movie until I first watched it, and then everything made sense after that.
But yeah, I mean, I think more of like the nods to film weren't really the center of the movie, so I think... I think it was really all things that we planted in there for people who really like film and, like to see something that they recognize.
It's definitely something where people can enjoy the story and the abstractness and trying to follow along, because you really have to be a proactive viewer of this to fully grasp the story. And for those of us who are total cinephiles, you can be like, oh, that's a nod to like classic 30s film noir. That's a nod to spaghetti western and all this. So I appreciate those subtleties kind of thrown in as well. We do have a question over here.
Well, first of all, congratulations. Completing a feature film is a major accomplishment, and especially the scope of what you did with this project is really just amazing. And thanks, Mike, for coming up to me at the Daily Bagel and handing me your card and saying, hey, we're showing a movie.
Of course,
I wasn't going to be here otherwise.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm going to skip this first session.
Wanted you to join the party.
All right, I got to go see this. So what I noticed in the write-up with this project, and everyone noticed your youth, but the other part to me was co-writer, co-director. How did that go? Especially I'm kind of analyzing, looking at the two directors here, going, their personalities, how did that work on set with everyone involved? Issues, and then with your future, because I'm sure you both have tremendous futures, are you thinking, yeah, we're already working on that next one, we're going to co-direct, or are you thinking, I'm going to direct this one solo on the next project?
Yeah, we were so much conflict, fighting every single day, couldn't agree on anything. I think obviously you can tell that in the movie. But no, there's definitely challenges that come with that, and I think that neither of us fully had that experience of like really, I think we both have very strong visions of what we want the movie to look like, and sometimes you got to learn how to be like, well, I guess, this scene is going to be a little bit different from how I imagined it, because, you got to kind of meet in the middle sometimes. But I think that also produces a pretty interesting result. Like, I personally, just on my own, would never make this movie. like I might make something kind of similar, but there are a lot of moments that definitely feel like me and something I would do, and moments that I'm like, that's something Michael would do. And then there are moments where I think that our visions kind of blend together in a nice way. But yeah, I won't speak for Michael, but I'm definitely like always writing more stuff that is personal just to me, and we're also working on more collaborative things.
There's also a lot of very experimental cinematography in this film. At one point, you put a camera inside a football. You have a camera inside a cardboard box as it's being lifted. There's some very unique shots and angles that a lot of filmmakers just wouldn't try for film. So again, that's a huge compliment to your experiences and being willing to maybe go outside the traditional box of, like, most filmmakers might do this from this angle, but screw it, let's put a camera inside a football and just see what it looks like, right? Where did some of those concepts for the cinematography come from?
Well, yeah, I think one big thing with like all these really kind of random, ambitious shots, I think it's cool because with this film, I think a lot of those kind of live in their own world in a sense where a lot of shots were not really storyboarded, or we both had this idea, but like none of them were really written down. So I think a lot of it in the moment was kind of figured out, which I think gives this really unique feel to it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's really.
I think so. I think most of that just came from, like, pretty much every day. There wasn't a shot list. There wasn't a storyboard. We would show up at the location, probably like a little bit late. We were running behind the schedule, and we were like, okay, what are all the shots going to be for this entire scene? And then we would be like, okay, we could start it with this, and then maybe move to this, and we could, get a wide shot here and a close-up of this. And then I think naturally when you're shooting like that, you just kind of put the camera in a spot, and then it's like, oh, that looks cool. I guess we'll just roll with it.
There's also an ongoing thread of grilled cheese in the film, which, I mean, who doesn't love grilled cheese? So, I mean, that's a given. But I love the commentary of it, and maybe I'm overthinking this and you just thought that would be fun and silly, but utilizing grilled cheese as something that's kind of universally beloved as the concept of how so much in modern cinema, movies, like there's an expectation you're supposed to like something just because it's popular. And the Andy character is like, I don't understand why people love this, but everyone loves it because they're told they're supposed to love it. Was that kind of the commentary, or am I way overthinking things with grilled cheese?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think it was a staple piece in the movie. One, to kind of show like the movie that we easily could have made, right? And then, yeah, I think you're exactly right. Kind of like this, a kind of another realization that Andy's having of like maybe this isn't for him, based on how these people are responding to this stuff. And I think grilled cheese, he's a great guy to work with, and I think it was a struggle too, because we didn't want to over highlight Casper's acting with grilled cheese, because I mean just the body on that man is, I mean I'm at a loss for words, but yeah, I think he was great. He really understood the role and understood kind of what we were going for. Yeah.
Did we have a question over here in the aisle, or are you just kind of hanging out, sir?
Yeah, no, I had a question, and it might be a little redundant at this point because you kind of already touched on some of the things. But my curiosity was, how much of this film was written, written ahead of time or planned well out, ahead of time, and how much of it was just kind of ad lib, because it seemed like a lot of the film just kind of would wander off on these little tangents, but then you guys would always kind of somehow pull it back in, and that was beautiful. So it's a little mix of both, I suppose, but your writing process or the planning.
Yeah, I'd say it was for sure a little bit of both. We had probably like a, I don't know, like 65-page script, which is a little short for what the movie ended up being. And this is the cut down version. It used to be like an hour 50. There's a lot of stuff that was we just shot way too much of. But there are things like the whole trip sequence when he's on the bouncing Bettys, like, that wasn't anything we wrote. We just kind of were like, okay, like, what would be cool to happen here? And then we go shoot it and be like, okay, now something needs to happen after that. And then, there are a lot of things like that, and sort of dialogue that would be very, very loose, and we would kind of change it on the day and kind of be flexible about it.
With working with such a young cast too, I mean, some of these shots that are very experimental, very avant-garde would be difficult even for veteran actors. But was there difficulty in, like, okay, you're going to make out with a grilled cheese sandwich, try to keep a straight face? Like, was there a lot of bloopers, a lot of, okay, we got to like take 25 and maybe eventually we'll get this down?
Yeah, plenty of bloops, dude.
Oh, so
like,
many.
it was, yeah, we would, I think a lot of time we would definitely like go over our heads as far as like how many things we could do in a day, and then we would realize, like, people are like, we would pretty much give the script out to like the homies, for instance, like the day before, and then they would kind of show up, and maybe someone lightly read through it, somebody like has no clue why they're there. I just thought we were hanging out, dude. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of moments where we realized we, couldn't do as much as we thought we could in one day. Just with the fact that kind of all of us are really amateur in this craft. So, yeah, there was some struggles for sure.
Push back, like, wait, you want me to do what?
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, in particular, my favorite story to tell about this is there's a really small shot when I'm running from the car after the robbery, and I roll through a swing set, and we were out there for probably an hour and 45 minutes in the middle of the night. I was in a t-shirt and shorts, freezing cold, and there's shot after shot after shot of me trying and just hitting the swing set in these unimaginable ways, and I mean, everyone was getting frustrated at that point, but
yeah, which was like another thing that like wasn't in the script, that like he had to dive over the swing set.
I was really upset about that. I was like, you didn't tell me I was gonna need to know how to roll through a swing set.
And eventually he did it, and he got over that fear, which is beautiful. Which I would love to clap for that, actually.
I feel like, especially with the three of us, there was just a lot of like, we're not going to stop doing this until it gets done, or at least you guys convincing me that we weren't going to stop doing it until it gets done, just because we all were really passionate about the film and getting it to a good place.
Yeah.
We have a question over here.
Hey, good job, guys. I'd like to ask, as a high school principal myself, how you got kickback or support to show this maybe to the school community in Eugene, if you've had that opportunity. And also, how does this movie get out now that you've made it? And then I had one last question. That scene where you are running through the street fair, how did you do that? How did you not have everybody mess that up?
Yeah, so that was one of those things that was filmed on an iPhone, that whole last sequence. And so that was just me and Casper. And this was 2022, it was like the Springfield block party that we just kind of crashed. It was super smoky outside, like it was in the middle of like all the wildfires and stuff. So terrible conditions to be doing that. And it was just me with a little iPhone on a gimbal and Casper in his ripped up suit and blood. And we just went for it and just ran through this thing. And yeah, it was all just one take. And it's even, we kind of trim it down in the movie. It was an even longer take before. And so I think it was really just luck. I mean, I was really expecting people to look at the camera and be like, you know, ask what we're doing or be concerned. I mean, he looked pretty bad. I was surprised more people weren't like really concerned for him.
Yeah.
There's someone crazy chasing after you with an iPhone. Looks like he already beat you up, right? So
I know. It's kind of
someone call the cops quick.
Well, it's kind of ironic, the cops that you can like see in the.
There was a moment, and both me and Akira stopped because we saw these security guards and these officers that were patrolling the block party. And then we had like a second, and we both realized we're not doing anything illegal, so we just kept going.
So the other question that the gentleman had was also about cooperation. Cooperation from South Eugene High School, getting instructors involved, and all of the adults that were in the film as well, and distribution. This film's shown at a couple of festivals already, correct? And I know you had a screening in Eugene as well. How has the reception been so far? And so cooperation with the school, and then now that it's out, what have the audience reactions been?
I mean, the school thing was very like, we talked to the drama teacher and he was obviously very helpful and kind of got permission to use the drama department. For the most part, they really just didn't care or notice that we were there.
Except for a couple times.
So, except for a couple times. There were a couple like, you know, do you guys have an adult with you? And then we're like, yes, he's in the other room. Don't worry about it. And then, yeah, as far as the movie distribution reception, yeah, we've done a couple of screenings. We did 2 screenings in Eugene, which both, I would say, went pretty well. Although maybe I'm a little biased. And yeah, this is our second film festival, and we have another one coming up on Wednesday in Eugene too, and so we'll see.
And the distribution.
Yeah, I mean, it'll keep going to festivals, and we'll, you know, we're hoping to get it into some local theaters around Eugene, maybe other places, and by, you know, early 2024, maybe you can expect to see it in a lot more places.
So to start to wrap things up here, you're still actively promoting this film and still kind of writing the, we finished it, now it's out, people can see it. But the ultimate question is now, what's next? So what is next for this tandem? And Casper, I know you're still in school, so you're still thinking about graduating and then moving on. But for all of you, are you already thinking about another project or what?
Yeah, currently in the midst of writing writing a short film that Akira and I will be doing at some point. And yeah, I mean, we're just going to continue pushing this film, bringing as many people together to watch it and be a part of it. By next year, I'll be in New York for school. So hopefully in between then there'll be some more stuff that we can all be a part of. Yeah.
Okay. Akira?
Like Michael said, we're working on more stuff, short film, that sort of business. You know, probably more music videos, which we've done a couple of. And then, yeah, I'm not going to give any specifics on what I'm doing quite yet, but I'm always writing more movies, and that's the thing I really like to do above anything else. So that's what you can expect me to keep doing.
And then Casper, more acting in the plans or what?
In the foreseeable future, hopefully. Right now I'm just finishing up my senior year and getting my diploma, and then probably off to college, and I will continue to promote the movie and get as many people as I can to see me in the movie, and whatever opportunities can come from that. Hopefully I can capitalize on it a little bit.
Wonderful. Well, how about a wonderful hand for our high school team that created The Boy Who Never Tangoed. So we have about a 20-minute break before our next film, Sam Now, we're going to show at 11:45. There's a wonderful opportunity if you have more questions to come hang out, meet Mike, Akira, and Casper, meet some of your fellow filmmakers, check out some of the stuff we have in the lobby, and we will be back at 11:45 with the film Sam Now. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of the 2023 Klamath Independent Film Festival.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions, we will be chilling out there, so please feel free to ask.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks, guys.